is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, we got ourselves an interesting episode of Boruto, and, to say the least, it's looking like this show is very aware of just, um, seemingly the criticism that it gets within its own like anime and stuff like that. And I say that because with this episode, it honestly feels like they took the concept of, you know, whatever the manga kind of did with the characters who are kind of the background fillers. Um, it feels like they're taking that to a new level and they're just trying to make sure that not only are these characters relatable, they're actually enjoyable. And to be fair, I found myself not only liking the episode that the characters focused on, but I also found myself liking Deki even more too. So sometimes they sprinkle in two little bits of progress for multiple characters, and I don't mind that at all because this is a show that with the manga already going and jumping into like the big all end all stuff for I guess like the beginning of Boruto, and people are very like confident that we're getting a Shippuden. So I mean, I want to hold you guys to that and be right on board with you. Like I believe in what you guys believe in. So just don't let me be wrong for believing in y'all, okay? um, but with that being said, if they aren't doing Shippuden and this thing ends in 100 chapters, there's a way that he's going to squeeze in all of, the fighting and the end game stuff within those chapters, which would mean that the story would get sped up dramatically compared to what the pacing was like in the manga. And the reason why my title is going to say something along the lines of the things that the anime is doing better than the manga, or just doing better, doing good in general, is that all of these characters that are very, very lucky to be living in peace, and they're very lucky to have parents that have trained for a war, trained to take the lives of anyone at any given time that they need to take the life of. That's the type of mentality they were putting into their grind. And to be able to take that away from them in the sense of giving them peace, tranquility, kids, all of this stuff is really slowing them down. And because it slows them down, we get episodes like this where our main character of the week is asking about, can you teach me the wind techniques properly? And she's like absolutely shocked, like, properly? You want to learn that? Like she's she's like blown back that that was even a thought that could have ran across his mind. So it's stuff like that that really gives this show just the potential, in my opinion, to really breach the gap with every outside character. I mean, we were looking at a politician ninja almost, and with everybody's reaction to Shikadai becoming a politician was negative, or it was just like so utterly shocking to them that they didn't know really what to think at the moment. Not to mention the fact that Deki and him had a conversation just before he even had the politician thing in his head, talking about he would have, he would rather be in a family that didn't deal with ninjutsu and stuff. And then he comes to find out that, the politician stuff and even electronics that Deki does, it's not that far off from, being in that ninjutsu and having that exact type of grind and push that you're aiming for. So it's really cool to see these like narratives be drawn for all the characters, because that just leaves so much more potential in the future for them to not only just grow but to gather information together, but to make bonds that they feel like when they're together, they have this synergy. And if you didn't watch the episodes like these ones, you wouldn't understand why that certain characters mesh so well. And I like that aspect of the show. It's a rewarding the fans of the anime who are watching this with why these characters are actually going to be pulling off some crazy stuff. Which in this case, sure, Shikadai like does it all by himself, but that was because it was his episode. I'm pretty sure if they really want, Deki could probably find something hidden within himself, and we'll be looking at a whole new, strong version of him as well. So that's the types of things that this show kind of dabbles in, and that was the sickest vanishing machine gun ever right there. And I think that's what this show kind of needs in the future. It needs something where um, all of these characters can kind of remember the times they shared together. Not to be corny with that song, that's all the times we spent together. But it's those types of things that make these, pulls of like, oh man, and because I was friends with Boruto, I felt like I could take on the world. It makes those moments feel a little bit more genuine because we, as the fans, have actually seen all of these different levels of things that have brought them up. But then to see what Boruto actually brings to their lives and brings to the forefront for them to feel some type of way, it's a completely indifferent feeling. So I just got busted. Oh, I might live. But yeah, overall, man, I truly, truly believe that we're looking at a very, very smart anime adaptation that is kind of doing the work for the manga. Because think about this, guys. Do you really think the manga now can just stop everything it's doing and show us? Oh no, I'm dead. And show us that they can just start building up all the characters behind Boruto, like Shikadai, Mitsuki, Sarada. Those Mitsuki and Sarada are the closest things to them actually trying to build up some characters. And one of the build-ups and like progression for Mitsuki in the manga was, from what I could tell, just the spin-off that someone else wrote that was a one-shot, that they turned into canon to make sure it actually fits within the storyline. So to take that into perspective, there is really nothing on these other characters. So for people to be mad and to be all hating the fact that they're getting content about characters that they don't care about, it's really just going to strengthen the bonds. Like every Naruto character uh, before this, like Naruto in general, just getting boosts from people that he usually didn't think was that close to him or knew how to work together with him in a fighting sense. All of a sudden, they're like, well, I've seen your fighting style enough, Naruto. I think I can make a combination with it without really, like talking and stuff like that. And that's the cool part about this overall narrative that they're building for more characters. There's that synergy that I'm talking about that they don't need to communicate to get stuff done. So with all that being said, my anime people, I hope you guys definitely understand that with all of these things that are our characters from Shippuden and just Naruto in general, all of them have this very, very huge stigma on them that they have to do something amazing or they have to be just so crazy and dope, like Sasuke and Naruto was in the last. They need to be all those things, and if they're not, the show is trash. So I understand whatever your expectations were for the show. If they're not met, that sucks. But at the same time, to get every little character being built up almost with the potential as everybody else in Naruto did, like, if you watch Naruto and you're a fan of that, this should be your bread and butter. We got missions with just Kiba and Hinata. We got missions with Chocho and him eating freaking butterfly candies and stuff and turning into a butterfly. We got all of those characters doing things. Shikadai, You know, we got all those characters, Neji doing those things off on their own, Rock Lee, you know what I mean? And the reason why no one complained about them is because those characters were built up so well. And with these new characters, they did have a chance. And sure, I think they took the easiest route by making them so similar to their alternate ego or alternate like moms and dads. But it makes sense why they did it because that's how a lot of these characters were brought up, and that's the only thing they would know. I mean, the only reason why the father of this family smokes is because he picked it up from the guy who seemed more like a father than his actual father. You know what I mean? Like, everybody does things from their parents because then when you do that, a lot of other people won't even know where it's from if your parents go away. Only person who would know that you got that from anybody was you getting it from the person that passed away from a long time ago. So it's a way to carry the torch, and I think that's what this show is teaching us with the paralysis jutsu in mind and him thinking that his father's going to be so jealous if he starts using wind, you know. Stuff like that really makes me hopeful for this show in the long term, which it is very, very long right now. But yeah, it's very fun to watch. I think this character could be one of my favorite characters, but we got to remember that with all of these characters being brought up, they can all be undermined and underused because we see how Rock Lee went out. We see how a lot of the shinobis during the war really did not hold any true gravity towards the story like Sasuke and Naruto did. And I hope with the building up of these characters, they can maybe miss that opportunity and give everybody a huge fight, huge builds on, like they already have been increasing more and more of how these abilities and jutsus work and how strong they can be by having mixtures of two kids or two parents that had amazing abilities as kids and built them all the way up to adulthood to then pass it down to their kids and then be able to teach them whenever the kid actually wants to be taught. So we're in a very interesting state with Boruto, and I hope a lot of you guys continue to give it a chance like I am because I don't think we're going to be disappointed, guys. So with that being said, take care. I am the Anime G, and I hope you have an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case it is when you're watching this. Make sure you just subscribe, hit that notification bell. You know the drill. And if you ain't subscribed, what are you doing? I drop that daily content, and I hope you enjoy it. So with that, peace.